Hi, welcome to the Catholic Corner. I'm Monsignor Walter Nolan. My guest today is one of our great young priests, a young man that I admire very, very, very much. You know, it's always neat to see these young fellas come up in the priesthood and to do some of the blessings and the great stuff that they do. Father Joseph Jacob, he was ordained to the priesthood by Bishop John Smith, May of 2006. His first assignment was St. Aloysius Parish, where he served 3 years. In 2009, Father Jacob was appointed chaplain to Rider University and Notre Dame High School. Kind of a dual project that's got a lot of great work in it. That year, Father Jacob was also appointed diocesan director of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. Then in 2011, Father Jacob was appointed to the Vocation Recruitment Committee by Bishop David O'Connell. Father Jacob today is going to share with us about his ministry to the Catholics and to all the students at the university and at the high school as director for the Diocesan Campaign for Human Development. And also I'd like to talk to him a lot about vocations and young people and the great, great call that God gives to so many, as well as his own calling to the priesthood. Father Jacob, a delight to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Gosh, it's where would we like to start? You know, we just have a nice conversation about maybe how about your own priesthood, your own call. It's always interesting to me. I think I always said that every story is a book about God, or every one of us has a book about God, so to speak, on us. How did your call come about and the response to it?
My call was pretty gradual, I would say. You know, some people know I have a brother that's a priest in the diocese also, Father John Jacob, pastor at Holy Innocents. And I always reflect back when we were young, we would often play church when we were kids. Oh. And I never wanted to be the priest. He was always the priest, and I would always be the one that would come up and receive communion, the little wafer from him. And I never really saw myself in that role, even in grade school, high school. The call to the priesthood was really not something I seriously considered. But when I got to college, my last year of college.
And where was that? Where were you at school?
I went to the Franciscan University of Steubenville out in Ohio,
Beautiful.
Which was a great college. I loved my time there. And my senior year, I was in a pretty serious relationship with a girl. And last year of college, and we were starting to think maybe that we might get married. The question kind of started popping into my own head, looking where life was going to take me next. And I really vividly remember over the Christmas break of my senior year that I just started getting this real strong calling that God really was asking me to be a priest. And I kind of put it to the side because I really wanted to pursue this relationship. And it just kept kind of getting stronger and stronger that last year, and eventually started talking to some priests about it and asked them. I was kind of hoping they were going to say they could never see me as a priest and that I wasn't a good candidate. But every priest I talked to kept saying they really could see me in that role. And I remember the more I heard that from other priests, the more it was kind of confirmed that maybe this was what God was asking me to do. So I remember having to talk to my girlfriend and say that I really needed some time to think about this and had to step away from the relationship. And that was really difficult, really hard for, both her and myself. Was really tough to do. And but once I kind of separated from that relationship, God really just started, kind of clearly saying I at least had to go to the seminary for a while and, kind of test my call in the seminary. And, that's where the path took me.
And once you entered the seminary, which one did you go to, Father Jacob?
I went to St. Charles Borromeo in Philadelphia,
Nice.
An excellent seminary. Was there for 6 years. It was a great place to be formed in the priesthood. And, the more I stayed at the seminary, the more God, through prayer, through study of the church teaching, God really just kept telling me over and over again, this is what I want, this is the path, this is the plan. And, it was just always a gradual, first I had to go to the seminary and maybe test it out there. And then in the seminary, it was, it felt right there. It felt like a good fit. And then as the years kept going in the seminary, God just kind of gradually kept really solidifying that this was what he wanted for my life. So no real flash of lightning, but definitely that gradual awareness.
I guess most of us don't have a flash of lightning.
No, don't hear that.
But what I do hear you say is something that I felt, that God wanted me to be a priest. And that's okay, then it develops and it's not that you don't want to be yourself, but it's kind of a strong feeling that this is what God wants. And I think that's a good thing to do when we discern anything in life. What does God want? Does God want you to be in a relationship like that, or does God want something else? And And I've always felt that there's a joy in following God. I don't-
Yes, yes.
How else could it be, you know? So that's terrific. And then your first assignment, I mean, everything was fine, and you got ordained, and you went down to St. Aloysius,
Yep.
which is another beautiful parish.
Absolutely, yes.
What was that like for you as a first assignment? You know, you come out of ordination, and all of a sudden you're thrown into a lot of work.
Yes, yeah, it was a great parish, big parish, 5,000 families. A lot of guys come out, I probably did too, all your guns blazing, you're excited, you really want to kind of immerse yourself in the life of the parish. And I got to say, that was a great parish to begin at. They have a great parish staff that works there, and lots of young families, which I really enjoyed working with. Worked a lot with the youth group at the parish, with the altar servers, and really enjoyed a lot of different aspects there. When we were there, we got started a marriage and family ministry, so brought a lot of young families with young kids together, and started some men's groups and some women's groups, and really just trying to bring the faith out of church and into their own homes, which I think was so important. Sunday Mass, obviously really critical, but it's got to go with you the rest of the week. So really working with a lot of those families and making the faith kind of relevant Monday through Saturday, so to say, was really edifying. And
what was the most enjoyable, in a sense, spiritually for you? What that you really look forward to doing when you're in a parish? Because I think parish ministry, well, it's all beautiful, but there's something in each one that has its own gift.
Mm-hmm.
And what gift did you see there that you enjoyed so much? The young people, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is so much in a parish. Being in a parish is so energizing and exciting. But I think what always stood out was really working with families. I just always found that so encouraging and edifying, and seeing the life of God grow in their own families, and seeing them really strive to live a Catholic life in their family. It always really motivated me so much watching them. And as priest, we kind of don't belong to any family, but there's that great poem that says we become a part of every family. And that first assignment, I really found that people really do see the priest, as part of their family.
Yeah,
they like having the priest around. They like when the priest is there at weddings and baptisms, and comes to their home for different events. They really like having that presence of the priest in their life, and I really enjoyed being able to do that.
And sometimes they'll stay as friends for life, or there's
Absolutely,
a
yep.
connection, even if you can't see them all. There's always that phone connection, or pray for grandpa, or there's lots of things that never seem to go away.
Yes. Now Facebook, they're all on Facebook friends now, so.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous of Facebook. When you get my age, all these new things, you say, well, let the young guys do this stuff, But and then you were there 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, was it your wish to go to a college campus, or how would you make that transition?
I was at a meeting at the diocese, and they pulled me aside and they said, "Do you want to go to Rider and Notre Dame High School?" And I said, "Well, sure, if that's what the bishop was asking at the time." And so I was a little nervous leaving parish and going just to working with young people full time. Definitely some nerves about that. But once I got into Rider and into Notre Dame, there was just a lot of energy that came from working with young people. And
one of the experiences, I think I'm half guessing for you now, but it's you're on your own, so to speak. It's like a parish.
Mm-hmm.
The pastor of the students, and young middle-aged students, and a little older students, do you find that you enjoy the interaction with their searching, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. It's a big transition when you go from, when you're an associate, the pastor's kind of setting the tone, and and then you go to campus ministry where you're definitely, the pastor of it, as you say. And so that brings some of its own challenges, but I think working with the students really is just so energizing. College kids in particular, students, I always call them kids, I'm getting old, but college students in particular.
I call you kids.
They're really, they're at a point where they really want to know what's next in life and where is life going to take them. And so there's a lot of big questions they're asking, especially now, am I going to get a job? And, so there's big questions that are on their mind. And, they really come to you with those big questions. And when they go to Mass, when you're preaching and when you're talking to them, when they're over at Emmaus House, which is where we do a lot of our ministry, They really bring those big questions, and they want to see how God fits in to those big questions. And, so it's always encouraging for me just to watch them grapple with God and those big questions. And it just encourages me to see them do that.
Now, what were some of the big questions today that they're kind of searching for?
I always say one of the big ones I see is they really want to know how the church is relevant in their lives. A lot of them, maybe their families aren't that religious, so they go to church maybe a couple times a month. And a lot of their friends, religion isn't really that important. What they see in culture, TV, media, doesn't often portray, Christ in the church. And so I think it's really tough for them to see often how the Catholic faith is really relevant in their lives. So kind of trying to break open that awareness that, God really is extremely relevant to our lives. And once they start catching that, they really want to share it with their friends, and they want to kind of bring it to their family. And, I find often the young kids, young students, when they start really getting on fire with their faith, they start bringing it back to their families at home, and their families start getting a little more involved. They start bringing it to their, teammates on the soccer field, on the football field, whatever it is. They really start sharing their faith and spreading their faith. And, that's always good to see.
Pretty exciting.
It is.
It's pretty exciting. The energy of the young people and they certainly keep us priests on our toes, so to speak.
They do.
But it's nice that they draw us in and we draw them in. I've always thought that the questions that they ask seem to almost be saying, or at least maybe what we as priests to try to do is to say that we belong to God, and then figure out how do we fit into that great plan. I know you do a lot of work at the high school also. Now, do you combine that somehow, or how do you do that?
Yes, it works well. It's sometimes a little challenge managing both. We've got the football field named after you. But the high school is a great place to work. You were talking about energy in young people, and I would say the minute you walk into a high school, you just feel the energy that's kind of in the high school. Someone's in love for the first time and they're excited. Another person just broke up or they lost a game and they're really upset about that. So the minute you walk into a Catholic high school, there's just so much going on and there's so much energy. But I really enjoy being there. I really, really enjoy being there. We've done a couple things there. I celebrate a monthly liturgy for the whole student body, and there's about 1,200 kids. So, wow. Getting up there in front of 1,200 students, high school students, was very intimidating at first. I was a little nervous, but after doing it these last 2 years, I've really grown to just love celebrating the Eucharist in those
and I think
assemblies.
The young, just high school, college, it doesn't. I mean, there is a difference of age.
Absolutely.
Just like you said back in the parish, they get to love you. You're really theirs too. You're their priest, and
absolutely. Yes.
And I know they love you down there, which is a wonderful, wonderful gift. Any profound experiences yet? I know you haven't been in that ministry a whole long time, but anything that you kind of remember as a story out of the university or the high school that you say, oh boy, I'd like to put this in my own homilies somehow or other?
I think there's a couple. One from the high school that recently was kind of surprising for me to see. There was a young kid who was discerning the priesthood. I think he'd make a great, priestly candidate. So I just said, have you ever thought about a priestly vocation? And I won't reveal his name, but he kind of started opening up about how he had considered a priestly vocation. But he said his greatest fear was his parents. He said they don't go to church at all. He goes every Sunday by himself. They don't go at all. He goes every Sunday by himself, and he was really worried that his parents would not accept that. And I just assume, because he always comes we do adoration at the high school. He always comes. We pray the rosary. He's always there for that. He helps out with the Mass serving and stuff. So I just assume that he just naturally would have come from, a good Catholic family. And hearing him say how he was the only really one living the faith in his family, and how upset his parents would be if he ever considered that, was really, it was pretty shocking to me. My parents were pretty accepting. So, it was really, it was shocking to see that would be such a setback, that his parents would be so potentially upset. So we kind of talked about it and, kind of worked through some of that. But, that kind of really brings home what some of these kids are dealing with when they start living with their faith. Another story recently with the college student that was, I think, edifying to see was his parents were going to be splitting up. They were getting divorced. He was in his sophomore year, and it was really tough for him. to watch his parents go through this. And but I think what I saw kind of talking with him was his faith was really giving him the strength to get through. He said if he didn't have his faith, if he didn't have a connection with his Catholic faith on campus, he said that would have been a real turning point, and he would have probably started going down the wrong road, partying and stuff like that. And he said his faith really kept him grounded and kind of kept him on the right path in that moment. And so that really, you really see concretely, what faith does in the life of the young person in both of those situations. But with the college student in particular, you really saw how his faith was really getting him through that really tough moment, that moment of struggle.
You know what I think, Father Jacob? I think sometimes the students or others, parishes look at us and kind of, how do I say this? Are realizing that we have faith and that somehow we've gotten through whatever it's been in our past and to get to where we are, and that, whatever it was, our faith hasn't gone away, and maybe it gets even stronger in certain ways. I think so. They almost have a sense that that's why they come to someone like you. They have a sense that, okay, how did you do it?
Absolutely, yes.
And it's a beautiful gift to be able to share that way.
Yes. Yeah, I find they really want to know how God fits into those moments. I find especially the cross. Young people often, they have lots of energy and excitement, but a lot of them really do have some heavy crosses they carry. Whether it's the family separation or an illness, or they really do have a cross, and so they really want to know how faith and how God and how the church fits into these moments of life like the cross.
And isn't it so wonderful that we share that cross, but our faith brings that resurrection?
Yes.
So they might have that cross, but okay, let's talk about where God might lead you to. Just like your vocation, my vocation. All of a sudden, you start to realize, okay,
yes,
we do this, but this is the joy and this is the peace that's going to come out of it. And
yeah, God brings good out of everything, and I think once they kind of tap into that, it really.
And I think young people have to know that, because they sometimes even in their relationships. I mean, not every relationship, as we all know, but sometimes they have to know that there is joy out there. There isn't something else is waiting for you out there.
Yes.
And,
I think once they kind of start sensing that, God is the one that really fulfills them. The more they turn their lives over to God, the more that's going to be that which really fulfills and satisfies them.
Brings them to peace.
Absolutely.
I know you talked in a way about two vocations in a sense, or three, yours and others that are following. And you're on this committee now, this recruitment. Is that something new in the diocese? Has the bishop kind of, pushed that a certain way? I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, yeah, we had a meeting with Bishop O'Connell. There's, I think, 6 or 7 of us on it. Monsignor Vaughn, who is our Vicar General, but also the vocation director, he's kind of spearheading it. And Bishop O'Connell really has a high priority for recruiting men for the priesthood in our diocese. And so he puts a big responsibility on us. He really wants us to go to all the high schools. So there are about 4 priests are going to visit every Catholic high school, and we're going to have, we're going to take the high school guys, high school boys off for 2 hours. We'll have Mass with them. We'll share a little bit about the priesthood and what it means in our own lives.
Now, will you do that with all of the whole student body, or just seniors, or?
Each high school is going to be a little different. Okay. So I know at Notre Dame, I think what we're talking about doing was probably the whole student body, all the boys would be together for the first half, and then we would break up freshmen and sophomores in one section and juniors and seniors in another section, and then we would all come back at the end for another big kind of concluding Mass or prayer service.
So you do that with all the high schools?
We're going to do that to every high school and every Catholic high school in the diocese. So it's going to be exciting. And then there's a lot of other priorities. We want to just be able to bring, young men that may be considering a vocation together. So guys in college that, have that first sense that God might be calling them, bring them together with the bishop, maybe for a Mass, a little social time, have some other priests around so they can, I think see a lot of priests together. I know it's good for young people to see that. At the high school and college, they see me a lot, but I think when they see a bunch of us together, that makes such a difference. So I always try and have other young, other priests come over and share with the college students, because when they see priests interacting and relating, I think that really goes a long way that, this life might be possible.
You're making me think of a couple of things. I guess, Father Jacob, it seems that when they see the joy in our priesthood.
Mm.
You know, they see us as joyful people, that we really do enjoy life and
Yes.
prayer and faith
Mm-hmm.
and other things. You know, it's okay to go to a Giant game or root for somebody or,
Yes.
you know, and be part of family life. And the other thing I think is nice to know is that we are all a little different. You know, we're not little cookie cutters in a sense. And so somebody who thinks about priesthood can say, oh, I could be like Father Jacob, or I could be like Father, whoever, you know, and it's kind of nice to know that the different personalities are all part of God's plan.
And I think that's why with that high school thing, we really wanted more than one priest, 4 priests going into the high schools, because, some are going to relate to me, and then some are going to relate to the other priest that's there, and every priest is different, just like every person. So
just I know we don't have enough priests. I'm thinking back at my age when I went to Catholic high school. Well, it was an all boys school. There were a lot of priests, you know, and you could say, oh, this guy's on the football field with you. What someone else who didn't play sports could say, well, this one's at the play with you, and so they all gave us a little pull, so to speak.
Yes,
I mean, I still, in many of my talks or homilies, not always, but there's a priest, Father Raymond York in high school, who I think was a saint, the living saint then, and I still kind of pray to him, and I mean, he affected my life an awful lot, and I'm sure that those kind of people are there.
Yes.
Anything else? What do you just say to young people that are even thinking about it? Maybe some young people are afraid to come to talk to a priest, or maybe they don't have a priest that comes to talk to like you.
I always say I think the most important first thing to do is to be open to the call. A lot of times we want to close ourselves off because we don't, we're a little worried. A lot of guys, when they first get the call, they're worried that God would be calling them. I would say just be open. If God is calling you, the priesthood really is a satisfying and fulfilling life. Despite what we sometimes see in the media, the priesthood really is very fulfilling. And so if God's calling you, to just be willing to embrace that. There's always the struggle, I can't get married, I can't have a family and stuff like that. And I look at my life now, it was one of my concerns when I was young, like, am I going to be lonely, not getting married, not having a family? And now I realize I wish I had more time for myself. I wish I had, you get so immersed in people's lives that I really don't find loneliness is a major factor. I have so many good priest friends that I get together with on a regular basis, and that's so important to me to have those friendships and those relationships. So, I just find that if God's calling you, which is the most important thing, to be open to that call. And, if He's calling you, it is a fulfilling and a satisfying life, and it really does bring great joy and happiness.
I don't know of any vocation, and there are great vocations out there beside priesthood, but I don't know of any vocation, Father Jacob, like you're saying, that allows you to meet as many people as we do, to be involved in as many lives as we're involved in, and some of it's very, very joyful, some of it brings tears to our own eyes, and some we struggle with. And yet, as you said, there's, sometimes you wish there wasn't 24 hours in a day, that there was 48 hours in a day. Absolutely. And sometimes we crave for that time of prayer and that time of being alone with the alone, I call it, alone with God, which is necessary for us,
Yes.
Boy, you got some great experiences of chaplaincy and parish, and let's hope the call for a lot of young people that they do respond, because we are happy people and we are blessed people, and families got to know that.
Yes. I was just reading, I wish I could remember who it was, but a study, and every time they do these studies about like happiness in professions, they always go back to priests as really one of the highest in terms of happiness in profession, and that doesn't usually get a whole bunch of publicity, but you find it really is true just with the priests that I know, and the studies really do verify and show that.
I know I wouldn't swap it around. You also have another side little part of your ministry with the human development campaign. Do you want to mention that, what you do with that, and how that affects the missionary activity of the world?
Yes, absolutely. I was appointed a couple years ago to the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, and basically it's a fairly small office, but an important one. We give grants out to organizations that help those in need. So, Mount Carmel Guild in Trenton, Catholic Charities throughout the diocese. There's a whole bunch of organizations that do great works that help those that are in need. And so what we do is we provide grants to those organizations. A lot of people know that in their Catholic parishes, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, there's a collection taken up for the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. And what we do with that money is we are able to give out all these grants to all these groups that are doing great works in the diocese. We're going through some restructuring right now, which we're kind of excited about. And we think through this restructuring that we're going to be able to let the people of the diocese know where the money's going. So we're going to be able to kind of publicize where the money's going and the impact that it's having on these organizations. So we're still working out the details of that, but I think it'll be exciting once it's all.
I know I've been a little involved on a couple of those boards, so
Okay.
that's you know, and some of those times I think, you know, we should let people know, not for in a prideful way, but in a way that you know we do a lot of good things
Yes.
for a lot of people. I know, Father Jacob, you've been involved and enriched sometimes in your own faith by the men's rally and World Youth Day. Can you give us a little insight into those beautiful events that
Yes.
allow, especially our manhood, I think, to be touched?
Yes, I think that is so important. Yeah, I recently got back from World Youth Day. We took 5 rider students, 27 from the diocese went, and we joined 1.5 million people in Spain to be with the Holy Father. And that could not have been more encouraging for me. I was a little hesitant to go. I didn't know what it was going to be like, wasn't sure what to expect. But the students really wanted to go, and as their chaplain, I thought I should go with them. And once I got there, I got to say, my faith was so strengthened and encouraged to just see people from all over the world coming together for one purpose, you know, celebrating our Catholic faith.
And youth.
And youth, oh, absolutely, yeah. They were all young. Wanted to see 1.5 million people, young people. And every day, you know, leading up to the Mass with the Holy Father, we would be in this rally just for English-speaking people. And there would be, I think it sat 10,000 people or 12,000 people. And so every day, just for 3 hours, you're in this auditorium with 10,000 or 12,000 English-speaking people from all over the world. And just, you know, being encouraged by bishops. Archbishop Dolan was there. He spoke to them, and he really affected the young people.
So there's a great sign in the world. How about this men's rally that you enjoy?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I was involved for 3 years now in the Catholic Men for Jesus Christ rally. This year it's going to be the last Saturday of February. It's going to be held at St. Raphael Church. And what we really like is for men from all over the diocese, no matter what your spirituality is, to come together for one day. We have great speakers. We're not allowed to announce the speakers yet this year.
So it's another great event.
Yes, it is. It really
Father
is.
Jacob, you're a great young priest. I'm proud to be part of some of the things you do. Be with us, pray with us. Know God's grace is in your heart. Let it come out. Let it be as sons and daughters. Bless you. The Diocese of Trenton. Give us your call. Give us your blessings as we share them with you. Thanks. That was very, very nice. Yeah, that went too fast.